For those of us gardening in a tough climate like Minnesota, every season is kind of a quest. We're on this mission, right? To find that one perfect flower that not only survives our wild weather, but just screams summer. Today, that quest is all about a classic, the Shasta daisy. So let's dig in and figure out how we can make this iconic beauty absolutely thrive, right here in the North. And that is so true, isn't it? The second you see that brilliant white and gold, boom, it's summer. It's the flower you picture in backyard memories and, those idyllic paintings. But to get that picture-perfect bloom in our own gardens, that's going to take more than just wishful thinking. We need a plan. So every good quest has to have a backstory, and if we really want to master the Shasta daisy, we got to understand where it came from. And believe me, it's a tale of incredible patience and the singular vision for the perfect flower. I mean, check out the dedication here. We are talking about the legendary plant breeder Luther Burbank. He looked at the humble little oxeye daisy and just said, I can do better. He was dreaming of bigger flowers and a bloom time that went on. And it was not easy. It took him 17 years and 4 different daisies from 3 different continents to create the flower we love today. He ended up naming it after the brilliant white snows of Mount Shasta, which is just a perfect tribute. Okay, so Burbank gave us the dream. Now, our mission as Northern gardeners is to find the version of that dream that can actually conquer a Minnesota winter. So the first and probably most critical step in our quest, we've got to choose the right champion for the cold. And for us, that champion is Becky. Look, this is not just any old Shasta daisy. Becky is a total superstar. And here's why. It's got these sturdy stems that don't just flop over, a super long bloom season, and this is the real game changer. It's rated for USDA Zone 4. That hardiness is our golden ticket to success. It was even named Perennial Plant of the Year, so yeah, we're starting with a proven winner. All right, we've chosen our champion, so the quest continues. Now it's our turn to really master the gardener's craft and give our daisy absolutely everything it needs to thrive. Okay, let's get our hands dirty. You want to plant in the spring, after the soil has warmed up, but look really closely at step 2 here because this is so crucial. Shasta daisies have 2 things they just won't compromise on. Full sun, we're talking at least 6 hours a day, and well-drained soil. If you get this part right, you will save yourself a world of trouble later on, especially when winter shows up. And to keep us on track, here's a super handy calendar. And this is based on guidance from the University of Minnesota Extension. Think of this as the rhythm of the gardening year in our climate. It tells you exactly when to divide, when to plant, when to mulch. It's basically our roadmap to a thriving perennial garden. No quest is complete without a few challenges. And in the garden, well, we face villains big and small. For our daisy, that means battling a pretty common pest and, maybe more surprisingly, unmasking a clever imposter. So the U of M extension gives us a heads up about the 4-lined plant bug. If you start noticing these little brown spots on your daisy leaves, probably between May and July, get ready to get up close and personal. You might find these little greenish-yellow bugs hanging out. You gotta know your enemy, right? That's half the battle. But now we've got a real mystery on our hands. That gorgeous daisy you see growing on the side of the road, or maybe even that one that just kind of popped up in your yard, are you positive you know what it really is? Meet the oxeye daisy. Now, this is the ancestor of our beloved Shasta, but it kind of has a dark side. It's actually a non-regulated invasive species right here in Minnesota. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty, but it's also a bully. It spreads aggressively and it just pushes out other plants in pastures and open areas. So here's how you can tell the difference. It really all comes down to the growth habit and the leaves. Your prized Shasta daisy, it's a well-behaved clumper. The invasive oxeye, though, is a spreader. It just takes over with its roots and its seeds. But the real giveaway is in the leaves at the base of the plant. The oxeyes are kind of fleshy and scalloped. So now you're all set to be a daisy detective in your own neighborhood. Okay, so after we've overcome the challenges, our quest brings us a reward, a healthy, thriving plant. And a happy Shasta daisy means more daisies. That's right, it's time for one of the most satisfying jobs in all of gardening, division. The U of M extension calls this a win-win, and they are absolutely right. When you divide an overcrowded clump, it totally reinvigorates the plant for better blooms. But the best part? Free plants. It is the perfect way to expand your garden or share the love with some fellow gardeners. And honestly, it is way easier than you think. Just pick a cloudy day so the roots stay happy. Dig up the whole clump and then just gently pry it apart. A lot of times you can do it with just your bare hands. Just make sure each new piece has a good set of roots and a few healthy shoots, and you're good to replant. You've literally just multiplied your success. So, we chose our champion, we planted it with care, we've even multiplied our success. But now it's time to face the final trial of our quest. This is the ultimate test for any perennial and really any gardener up here in the north, surviving a Minnesota winter. And here is the most crucial point. The biggest threat to your Shasta daisy in the winter isn't the cold, it's the wet. Soggy, icy soil is basically a death sentence for their roots. And that's exactly why choosing a spot with good drainage at planting time was so critical. It all comes full circle, you see. So here's our final plan of attack. After a good hard frost, go ahead and cut the stems down. Then tuck it in with a nice layer of mulch to insulate the crown and protect the roots from those freeze-thaw cycles that can pop plants right out of the ground. And hey, if your daisy is in a pot, a sheltered spot like a garage will give it that extra bit of protection it needs to make it all the way to spring. And with that, our quest is pretty much complete. Our champion daisy is all tucked in for the winter, dreaming of its big comeback. We've conquered the challenge of perfecting the summer flower. So, as the snow starts to fall, there's really only one question left. What's your next garden quest gonna be?